Manchester City 3, Manchester United 0. Strap yourselves in. There is a lot to digest. There is a lot to talk about. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I want to start off by saying congratulations to Manchester City. Some of the football in the second half was sublime. Haaland shutting up a lot of his doubters, scored away from home against a traditional top six side, as it were. Grealish looking brilliant today. John Stones immaculate. Rodri, great. I want to start with that, and we'll come back to City a little bit later. But Man United today were destroyed, and Man United today were robbed. And I'm going to break down all those elements there and then give you my conclusion at the end. So bear with me. This isn't about excuses. This is about consistency. To start off with, the refereeing we witnessed today was nothing short, in my opinion, of corruption. There has to be an independent investigation into the refereeing decisions that are being made this season. Because it was a huge turning point in the game in the 26th minute. City had slightly more of the ball, but United had some good attacks. They had some good passages of play, and the shape was pretty good. And we were kind of holding that Man City back. They weren't really creating gilt-edged chances per se. They had one header that was well saved from Onana. But then an inexplicable penalty was given. An inexplicable penalty was given to Manchester City. There was a small tug on the back of Rodri. There was a small tag on the back of Rodri. And if we're going to go by the letter of the law, you can call this a foul. The problem that you have is this happens at nearly every free kick and nearly every corner. In fact, in this sequence, City players were deliberately obstructing Man United players and blocking their runs. That's also a foul if you're going to be pernickety about this. To concede that penalty is outrageous, considering that pull from Højlund on Rodri happens 10 times a game in every Premier League match, and you seldom see a penalty given. So to award it in this match is scandalous. Scandalous. And it doesn't matter that City were the better team and they deserve to go on and beat us. If we only judge poor refereeing decisions when a team loses who should have won, we've got a problem. We must call this out. We must call the inconsistencies out. If you want to say this is a foul, fine. But it means there has to be a penalty every time it's done. Equally, 2 minutes later, Rasmus Højlund is running through on goal, and John Stones, as you can see, pulls his shoulder around, changing the angle of his body that makes him stumble and fall, and he cannot get his shot away. Now, let me just tell you something now, because I can see the comments going crazy. I don't think either are fouls. Neither of these things for me are fouls. Neither. But if you're giving the pull on Rodri, which was minimalistic, you must give the pull on Højlund. Now, Højlund maybe should have gone down. He should have screamed. The player should have surrounded the referee, maybe. But the point I'm making is within 2 minutes of that penalty being given, there was another innocuous pull that's never a foul. To suddenly, out of nowhere, issue a penalty is nothing short of disgraceful, because if you're going to go by the letter of the law, as they did with the Rodri incident, then it's a free kick. And because it's outside the box, it's a red card. And that's my problem with referees. People go, oh, it should only be about the objective things you moan about. No, because how can they subjectively not see those two things as a foul if the little pull on Rodri was? And it was another dark, dark day for football in relation to the refereeing, because it was absolutely scandalous. Now, that's the decision out the way, and I needed to speak about it because it was a robbery. Outside of that, Manchester United got absolutely battered. And before people say you're making excuses, I'm not making any excuses. I'm not saying if that penalty wasn't given, we would have won the game. I'm calling out the inconsistencies of refereeing decisions in the same way I've done and defended every other member of the top six in the past 3 to 4 years since I've been really going in on this stuff. So don't suddenly have a change of heart about this when it involves Manchester United, because that's the reason why referees are so bad. It's on us as fans. We are accountable for all the problems really in our sport because we do nothing about it. But Man United wouldn't have won the game, I don't believe. However, that doesn't make it okay for the decisions to be bad. Man United were absolutely destroyed. And the reason for that is because Erik Ten Hag today picked a unbalanced team to play counter-attack football with not enough pace. We have a centre-back playing as a left-back, which unbalances us. Bruno, again, put out on the right-hand side where he is awful. He's amazing off the striker. He's pretty average everywhere else, and he is terrible on the right. Played out of position again. Rashford starting again, completely and utterly out of form. These decisions are solely on the manager. And then Erik Ten Hag made an absolutely disgraceful decision to take off Amrabat, move Scott McTominay back into central midfield, which he's awful at. He's not cute enough on the ball. He's not quick enough on the ball. He's not accurate enough on the ball. Doesn't have the defensive awareness to do that job. And Man United lost their shape. We were playing that second half for large parts with 3 number 10s on the pitch and none of them actually playing in the number 10 role. Bruno on the right, Eriksen playing as some kind of deep midfielder. McTominay, who's not a DM, playing as a DM. We lost our shape. And within 5 minutes of the restart, City cut through us like a hot knife through butter. There was space everywhere. Bruno was defending the right back position, was being doubled up upon. Where was Delo? Where was McTominay? Do you know? They were nowhere. Because it's clearly a system that Ten Hag thought of like this. Wrote it down on the back of a napkin. Go, this is how we're going to play today, boys. We haven't played this way before. I haven't played any of you in these positions before or in these roles per se. But you're going to go out there and try and do a good job against the best team in the world. It was absolutely horrendous management. Horrendous management from him. It truly, truly was one of the worst cases of management I have ever seen from a Manchester United manager. The substitutions, the players that he brought on. And there's a lot of questions that have to be asked of Ten Hag by Man United fans. What is his plan for Mason Mount? You spent 60 million odd pounds on him, 55, 60 million. 3 games on the bounce, he's not starting. All of your new signings from the summer are now fit, and you're not starting them in games. Where's the plan for Mount? It wasn't a player I wanted. It wasn't a player that I was, wow, I'm so excited to see him. But in the summer, I was still very much trusting in Erik Ten Hag. But I'm going to be honest with you now. My trust for Ten Hag has gone. Today, it was a weird feeling because only a few days ago, I was like, no, I'm behind this guy. I'm behind this guy. No, I think he can turn it round. He's got a good CV. But this game today genuinely has broken me. It's broken me in terms of my trust in Ten Hag. The starting lineup was off balance. The substitution of Amrabat was absolutely ridiculous. It ruined the shape because Man City weren't, listen, they were leading 1-0. They were leading 1-0 through a penalty that shouldn't have been given. They had more of the ball, but they weren't that dangerous up until the goal. United were keeping them at bay and we were making opportunities on the counter. That was how we were going to beat them. But taking off Amrabat and putting McTominay, who is completely proven as crap in that position, moving him back, bringing on Mount, horrendous. Taking off Højlund on the 73rd minute, why? His hold-up play the whole game was excellent. And you leave Rashford on, who has been dog all season. Ten Hag today has lost my trust. Genuinely lost my trust. If we sack him tonight, I don't care. I don't think sacking Ten Hag will make us a better team in the long run because of the way we're run. Everybody knows that. But I have lost faith in this manager. There is no plan for Mason Mount. None. He keeps playing people out of position, like Bruno on the right. He won't drop Rashford when he's out of form. And I can't trust it. I can't sit there and defend it. And we all come out often and defend our managers. Some people say, Terry, I've always told you he was rubbish. Fair enough. If you want to say you're right on this, you can do that. I'm man enough to accept it. But my trust for Ten Hag today is gone. And yes, I'll call out the poor refereeing. Yes, I'll call out the penalty that wasn't. We have to. And I don't want to hear Man United fans say, I don't want to focus on that because we were really bad today. That's bad for football. You have to focus on inconsistent refereeing. But I'm also not going to let that be the only thing I talk about. So that's why I said to you at the beginning, when you're all going, you're embarrassing for moaning about the penalty. Let me finish speaking before you start condemning me. Because both these things are true at the same time. Ten Hag has lost my trust today. 100%. Now, we can get it back. Not that he cares about me individually, but I'm just giving you my opinion on things. I don't trust him anymore. I don't trust him. And equally, just because I don't think the club can improve massively while these owners are here, it doesn't mean we should keep a manager that I think he's losing the dressing room. And do you want to know why I think he's losing the dressing room? I wonder what goes through Bruno's head when he's getting told you're playing on the right. He probably thinks, why? I wonder what goes through McTominay's head when you're like, listen, you're an average player. You've been scoring goals recently. You look dangerous in the first half. I'm going to move you back into the DM role. I wonder what Amrabat's thinking when he's like, hang on. So you're going to take me out of my natural position and he's doing all right in the game and you're going to put someone who's awful at it in that role. I wonder what Lindelof thinks. He's not very mobile. He isn't very agile and he's being made to play in a fullback role when you literally have a fullback on the bench. These decisions are why I don't trust Ten Hag anymore. They're weird. I can understand it as an experiment. Didn't work. Okay, you move on. But he's continuing to do it. He's becoming too stubborn. I'm not saying we should have started Man Utd today. Could have brought him on. 2-0 down, 60th minute. Give the kid a chance. If he has a poor performance, it's not going to kill him. Give him a go in the middle. He can hold on to the ball. He's press resistant. He can break lines with his passes. If you're going to take Amrabat off, it's only Kobe Mainoo that can come on. That's the only guy that can come on, is him, not Mason Mount. And the fact is, he has no plan for Mason Mount. 60 million pounds of our money, and this is why I blame the owners overall. You're letting a manager spend 60 million pounds on a player, and he has no fucking plan for it. This should be in the conversation, right? If KJ comes to me and says, Terry, I want to employ someone to do a certain job, I'm going to sit down and discuss what they're doing. What's the return on investment? How many hours are they going to work? Why this person? What is their skill set? I'm going to challenge it, not because I don't trust KJ, but I need to make sure when I sign off on that decision, it's not going to damage my business or cost me money. Now, the same thing works in football. The Glazers have to sit there and say, okay, explain the plan for Mason Mount. Where's he going to play? What's he going to do? Now, they can't do that because they have nobody making decisions who's good enough footballing-wise. You need someone to challenge him. You can't just give a manager carte blanche anymore. Forget, you're never going to replicate Fergie, so don't even try. And this is my problem with Manchester United. We keep doing it. And I feel like there's been, the fact he's not playing Mount is enough body of work for me to turn around and go, this was a terrible signing. Terrible signing. It's not like as though Mount's on the bench because other players have been amazing. He's on the bench because the manager doesn't know what to do. He's played him in a double pivot. He's put him in the 10. He's stuck him on the right a few times. That says no plan. He plays Bruno out of his strongest position, the only position where he's potent and good. Rashford never gets dropped. And I'm done. I'm done trusting Ten Hag. Genuinely done. And it isn't just the defeat or even the manner of the defeat. It's the repeating of the mistakes time and time and time and time again. Now, if he changes up and we improve and he starts rectifying these things, then maybe I'll change my mind again. Only a weak person won't ever change their mind and hold their hands up and say, I think I got something wrong. And I'm just not that. But right now, we are not progressing this season with him. And I'm telling you this now, as sure as eggs are eggs, the season's done. From a Premier League point of view, we're already 8 points off the top 4. So we're not qualifying for the Champions League next year. There's too many better teams than us. We're a quarter of the way through the season. We're definitely not winning the Champions League. We might even get out of our group. All we can hope for if we keep Ten Hag is that we play our strongest 11 in all the cup games and try and win a trophy. That's the only salvageable element of this season. Or we could look to replace him. Now, we know long-term that isn't going to help. So there's no point thinking long-term as a Man United fan with our owners. So I think we do have to think short-term. At least it will give us a bit of excitement. It'll be a little bit of a dopamine release. Sacking and hiring managers excites me more than our games. Genuinely. It's more fun. The what if. It's like Christmas Eve. Watching Man United play is like when remember you were 10 years old and Heartbeat would come on and you go, oh, I got school in the morning. That's what I feel like every time Man United are playing. Football's bang average. The manager's decision-making is horrendous. And again, we're regressing. Every player we sign or bring through the academy goes backwards. The style of play never improves. And I've had enough. The manager's accountable for a lot of this. Yes, the players as well. I weren't happy with lots of them. But for me, I'm done. And a few people asking, so why have I said robbery? Because it weren't a penalty that we conceded. And we should still call out bad refereeing decisions, win, lose, or draw, good performance or not. If we don't, that's what will happen. They'll get away with it. Does that make sense? Because the bigger focus is Man United getting battered. And I'm not going to allow that to happen. And also, if we win a game 3 or 4-0, but it was a decision like that, you'd see me saying the same thing. And you know I would do that because, well, we didn't win 3 or 4-0. I did it in the Wolves game beginning of the season. So you know I'm consistent with it. But there we go. Look, I'm going to go to some of your super chats here. Terry, I love you, but Ten Hag made horrible choices. I agree. I've called it out 110%. You're spot on with that. And not even a Man United fan, and I'm embarrassed by that. Yeah, listen, we were embarrassing, especially in that second half. The way that as soon as I saw the players stop running and working, I'm like, this is why I don't believe that they're buying into the manager's ideas. Because there's basic fundamentals that are not there. The pen was a joke. United should have scored first half. Yep, we could have. And that's why I'm saying I don't think it would have changed the outcome of the game. But that doesn't mean it wasn't poor. How much longer does Ten Hag last? Who replaces him? I don't know who replaces him. And as I've said, listen, right now there's some fashionable managers. De Zerbi is one of them as an example. Do you know what? There is the part of your brain that wants instant gratification and like quick things done quickly. Part of me feels like saying, let's just go and give Spurs loads of money and get past the Coglu. But that's just me thinking with emotion. De Zerbi is a name that a lot of people focus on. But do you know what the real sobering fact is? We could sack Ten Hag. That wouldn't bother me. But I still don't think the new guy coming in would do a good job, whoever he is or she is. Terry, it was not minimalistic. Stop, Terry. Listen, it was minimalistic. He does pull on him. He pulls on him. But you see that all the time. And if we're going to get pernickety with the penalty, go back and watch before Rodri's run. 2 City players deliberately block runs of Man United defenders. So if you're going to, they're all fouls. Why give just one of them? And this is my problem. They're never, ever given on. I've seen Man United, by the way, commit worse fouls than that on corners and free kicks and not even get checked. So why this one? That's got to be called out. We must hear the video audio. And then on other examples where they're not given, we need to hear that audio and they need to tell us why it's different. If not, I'm calling corruption. Absolutely on point. Ref was destroying the beautiful game. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy United lost, but that is a shambles. The referees are corrupt. Doug here says, I love Terry, but Maguire on Haaland should have been a pen too. Consistently bad, but no means were you robbed? Well, we were robbed of that goal, and that goal changed that goal changed a lot of things. I always talk about when I change my mind on things. Someone called into a show once and I made a really good point. I don't quite remember what it was now, word for word, but it changed my mind. I used to say you can't blame refereeing decisions for games. And I'm not overly doing that. I still think we lost. But if they don't get that penalty and score, who knows what happens? The point is, football's unpredictable. And we need these decisions to be right and consistent. And you can give this penalty, but now you need to give all of them. And they won't. And if they don't, that means the integrity of the game is damaged and it must be called out. Man City's penalty, but Wolves was not. Help me. But Jamie, this is the thing. You can't get me on that because my title of that video was Wolves were robbed. And I said they were robbed. And I said it was a penalty. So don't come to the terrace and try and catch me out for being a hypocrite. I don't do it. I don't do it. Never. If my team cheats or if my team gets a decision, like diving, if my team gets a decision go their way that they shouldn't, I call it out, bruv. Thanks for the super chat. Dry your eyes, Terry. Things can be bad, but it could have been worse. Yeah, we could have got beat 6-0, 7-0. Do you know what I would say? Well, I want one positive. I would say I know he conceded 3 goals today, but I was quite happy with Onana. They had that one little airy moment on the floor, which he has, but he has some good saves today. Other than that, that's the only thing I was like, oh, well done, you. I can't think of anything else I'm happy with, but that's it. Hoyland's hold-up play was good. That's it, if I'm being positive. Eric Ten Hag out, Sam Allardyce in. We need a manager that suits our average players and club ambition. Save yourself, Eric Ten Hag. Don't let this club ruin you. You were lucky. They only gave 1 penalty. Lol. Yeah, and City should have had a play. Based on what you're all saying, City should have had a player sent off. But no one's talking about that. Why? Again, I don't think they should. But based on that being a penalty, you're never going to get me on this one, people. Eric Ten Hag making terrible calls. I don't know what's going on with him. Last year, his calls were good. I'm truly confused about what's happening. As a City fan, I agree it was not a pen on Rodri and not a foul by Stones. However, Maguire hugging Haaland in the box was not given. VAR saying the touch was inconsequential was ridiculous. Morons, the lot. And this is just it. Maybe I'd switched off by that point. Not the actual game was like frustrated. But that's the ironic thing. Someone just sent me a clip of it now and I watched it. It's more of a penalty but not given, which in turn means they're inconsistent and it has to be called out. For me, it's not a pen. It's not even a shirt pull. Also, you've had a pen in every set piece. If that's a penalty. Also, Anthony brought on just to get a red. Yeah, he was a clown when he came on, Anthony. He ain't fooling me with that nonsense. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Every weekend, the same crap. It's is it the love for the club or insanity, Terry? I'd rather have a happy weekend with my family. I hear you, but that's why I've lost trust in Ten Hag today, because he keeps trying the same thing that isn't working. We can all see it, and he keeps persevering, and he's got to be held accountable. This here says, Terry, your football IQ is out of this world, and that's why I love the football terrace, even when it used to be called Fan Park. I love that. Hats off to you. Listen, I don't necessarily think my football IQ is out there. I appreciate the compliment. I don't actually think my football opinions are that much better than anyone who calls in or super chats or leaves comments, but thank you very much indeed. Kate here says, oi, you, keep your grubby hands off Big Ange. I think it's karma for the Bruno goal last year. But again, we can't talk about things as karma. I thought we were trying to fix refereeing decisions, not just, well, what goes around comes around. Otherwise, it's going to continue, right? Maybe if all fans stood up when that happened, these wouldn't be happening now. Maybe I'm wrong. Can you explain Anthony to me? A fool. A fool. It wasn't a penalty, but my God, Onana kept you in the game. It should have been 6-0. Certainly did. The team needs help. Needs to help the kid Hoyland. I see sprinkles of stardust on the kid. Overall bad performance, but I thought he was dangerous. Yeah, I like the kid. I like him. But by the way, we will kill him as well. Like, we'll ruin him as well. 11 goals in 10 games for Man United. Haaland is on 11. Yeah, we're awful, mate. We're awful. Terry, a penalty decision like that shouldn't that have galvanized United in a derby? Ricky, it's a great point. It won't, though. You can't galvanize Man United in those circumstances and in those situations because of the way we operate, because of the way we are. There is no real togetherness in this Manchester United team. There is no cohesion. There is no strong mentality. So we absolutely fail. And I know YouTube's playing up a little bit. I know there's problems with YouTube. Just refresh your streams if you're getting issues. But no issues on my end. It is directly with YouTube, I promise. Hands off hands, Terry, or I will set Kate on you. Sorry, Jimbo. Amrabat sub messed the game up. Amrabat was everywhere on the pitch. Bruno and Rashford should be banned for 4 games. Anthony and Garnacho should have started. Thanks for that. Right, I'm bringing out the panel now, people, to have their say on this. Keep refreshing the stream if you can. I know there's been some issues with it. KJ's here, V's with us, Sunshine, Oh My Dizzy, and Staffy here as well. Welcome back, boys. Obviously, a terrible result for Man United today. We will move on to Man City, but I want to go to Staffy first. Give me your thoughts on the performance by Man United today, mate.
I don't understand how a manager can get the 11 wrong and then attempt to fix it and get it even worse. I was on my channel yesterday. I was on Saeed's channel yesterday. I was on so many platforms where I told the people, I'm not negative. I just don't see the manager getting the midfield right. And then I got accused of being negative. Okay, I'm negative. Let's see what the manager does. He puts out the wrong midfield. Horrible. Could have been better. Let's get to halftime and see what happens. Unfortunate penalty. Listen, City controlled the ball like I thought they would. Were they so dangerous in the final third? Were they creating chances left and right? No. We did somewhat of a decent job in the first half. Let's say we're unlucky. We should have reached halftime 0-0. Okay? Let's just say that penalty never happened. Okay? We go into halftime. He takes out his only 6 in the team. There's one number 6 in this team right now, Amrabat, and he's struggling on his own. So what do? We take him out. You took out your only 6 instead of helping him. And who does he bring on? He brings on Mount, who, by the way, should have been starting because I said we should have never signed him, but you had a plan for him. But instead of using him, you're using McTominay in that role that you signed him for. So you have 60 million sitting on the bench and you're playing McTominay, who's absolutely useless in that number 10 position. So instead of helping your 6 and having him, let's say he had him and Eriksen in the double pivot together, which at least when they win the ball, they can be an outlet and they can pass out of the back together because he was doing something. He takes him out and he leaves Eriksen and McTominay. And it took us 5 minutes to realize that this midfield is going to get destroyed in the second half. He somehow proved me wrong because I told him he's going to get the midfield wrong. He proved me wrong. He got it wrong twice because he tried to fix it and he made it worse. And he takes out his only number 6. But I'm negative when I sit here and I say I don't trust this guy to get it wrong. And he got it wrong twice. This second half was so embarrassing, down to the fact that he tried to make it better. I don't think Pep did anything between the first half and the second half. He came out with the same players. They did the same exact thing. But we had their midfield strolling. That third goal from Rodri, by the way, he's just walking in our midfield, gets a shot, and obviously Haaland scores after the rebound, or was it Foden? I forgot. One of them, whoever it was. Because the midfield is non-existent. And I'm looking at Eriksen, I'm like, I feel bad for you, bro, because you have no business being there. You are so shit anyways against possession-based teams, let alone City. With no number 6. At least he used to have Eriksen, Casemiro next to him, or Amrabat's supposed to be there. But that's the second game in a row where he takes out Amrabat at halftime and plays with a double pivot without a real 6 in it. This manager has no idea what he's doing. That's just like me mentioning one thing. That's just the midfield. Lindelof being at left back the whole game. I don't understand how he played, 70 minutes, 75 minutes? I have no idea how he played that long. The guy was struggling. He was getting cooked on the far post all game by Foden, and he didn't take him out. So many decisions that he got wrong, and it's even more embarrassing that he tried to fix it. He gave them the midfield as if they needed us to give him the midfield anyways. He's like, listen, we're somewhat putting up a fight in the midfield in the first half, limiting the amount of passing and chances that you can create. Let me take out my only 6 and put in Eriksen, who can't do anything. And McTominay nowhere to be found again. We put McTominay in a 10 and in a 6. In two different positions the whole 90, and he couldn't do anything. Absolute embarrassing performance. He has no idea what he's doing. And I told you, KJ, this guy has 3 strikes with me. You was asking me for strikes 3, right? There we go. Strikes 3s today. This guy has no idea what he's doing. This guy managed. He said he's from the school of Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff, if he heard what happened today, oh my God, I feel bad for the idea that we even mentioned Johan Cruyff school with this guy. Because this guy has no idea what kind of football he was playing today. Talking about Johan Cruyff football. Absolutely embarrassing. The guy's out of his depth. He has no idea what he's doing. He absolutely embarrassed us today. He embarrassed us all season. But today, especially today, it being a derby, I am absolutely embarrassed by the decisions that he made. Whether it's with the starting 11 or with his substitutions. I don't want to see this guy anymore. I told you, if I'm out, by the way, on the manager, I told you I'm completely out on this project because I don't think anyone comes in and fixes this team or we're going to do anything. But we should 100% be playing better football than what I've seen today. Are we a serious team with another manager? That's not what I'm saying. But we are miles better than what I've seen today. Bruno, embarrassing. Anthony, what the hell are you even doing coming on kicking Ducko and shit? That's how you know. And you said it perfectly, Tara, before you brought out the panel. You said you can see signs when the players have given up. And today I've seen more of it. Players are frustrated. They're kicking the opponents, flapping their arms. Bruno has no idea what he's doing. He's setting an example to other players that should be frustrated and kicking players and all that. Absolutely embarrassing. This whole thing needs to be wiped out. Ten Hag should not be the manager after today. I don't care who comes in, but people keep asking me who comes in. I don't even care who comes in. I just know that this guy has failed and failed miserably, and I don't want to see him no more on this team.
I'm going to go to KJ on this. How much of what was said there by Staffy do you echo?
Enough to say that Ten Hag has lost his mind. He's lost his mind. I have no idea what's going through his bald head. Before I wanted to kiss it, now I just want to slap him on that bald head. Like, honestly, his decision making has gotten worse and worse as the season got on. And at the start of the season, you kind of allow it for rust to come off, new season, fresh start, all of that kind of stuff. But how many games we're in now? We're 10 games into the Premier League, lost 5, won 5. All the games we've won in the Prem have been shaky. They've not been looking good. Our defeats have all been embarrassing for different reasons. And we can't sit here and say that we're happy as a fan base with what he's doing. And you know what? The cycle of Man United was normally 3 years. 2 years a coach does well, and in the last season, that's when everything falls apart, and then he gets sacked, and we start again. For some reason, somehow, some way, the process is accelerated. And it's not even been 18 months. It's not even been 18 months, and the wheels have already come off. And you can say about the injuries, and I sympathize in that sense, because that back line, no one expected Maguire and Evans and Lindelof all to be starting at the same time this early on in the season, if not at all in any point of the season. So I sympathize with that. But everything else is simple decisions. Why are you playing players out of position? Why are you taking off Amrabat for McTominay in a position that you yourself even stopped playing him in last season? He himself stopped playing McTominay in the 6 last season because he realized he can't do what he wants him to do. But now he's gone back to putting him there. I'm confused, Terry. I'm really confused. I want to say, yeah, this wasn't Ten Hag's fault.
AJ, he wanted to sell him. He wanted to sell him, and he's playing him in the derby in 2 different positions after he wanted to sell him. Do you understand how crazy that sounds?
This is what I mean. This is what I mean. Everything that could go wrong for United has gone wrong. And it's gone wrong. And it's just gone terribly wrong. And I don't know how he gets out of it. We can talk about changing their tactics. We can talk about doing... He needs to realize this for himself. I don't even know if he does. And that's the worrying part. I don't know if he knows what's going on himself with himself. And as a Man United fan, I've got to a point where Man United games are a chore. I woke up this morning in a mood because I already know how I was going to feel after the game. I don't look forward to the games anymore like I did last season. I don't believe in the players as much as I did last season. So where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? That's what I want to know. Because we're 11, 15, how many games in as a whole entire season? And it's a write-off already. And it's already a write-off. I don't, Terry, you said get far as you can in the cups and the bro, bun that. I don't want no cups. We don't deserve no cups. Get knocked out in all the cups and really sit down and focus and think what the hell is going on in this club. And these Sir Jim or whoever is investing or whoever's coming in to be a part of this new board or whatever foolishness they're going on with, you guys need to really sit down and think about where on earth did this club go? Because without that change up there, this will just keep going and going and going. So it is what it is. On the other news, Villa won. At least my hometown did something.
Yeah, go on, Dizzy. Go on, bro.
If I may, all I'm going to say is I do love and appreciate KJ and Staffy for being so emotional. United does do that to us, but I'm past the point of emotions, to be honest. 4 games in, Terry, I came on this stream and you said, "Is the season over?" I said, "Yeah, fam." When any meaningful team comes up to play United, we're gonna get smoked. When any decent team that wants to hold on to the ball comes up against United, we're gonna get smoked. When the cities come to town, we are gonna get smoked, and that's exactly what happened. We're about 13 games into the season. We've lost 7 of them. We've won 5. We have essentially we have not played well in any single one of them. We have 11 goals scored. We have a team that doesn't make any sense. Ten Hag is making decisions that don't make sense. You have Reguilon on the bench. You have an actual left back. He's on the bench for Lindelof. You have a midfield that doesn't function but is keeping together well enough. And then at your first available opportunity, you take the only holding midfielder off. You've got Onana, who nobody can trust. You've got Maguire and Evans playing centre backs, and nobody knows what's going on. We have a striker that needs chance creation, but we have a left back that doesn't create. We have a left winger, that prefers to make chances for himself. And then we have a right winger that prefers to play in the 10. The actual right back that we do have, we're not sure what he does, to be completely honest. And then we got our brother eating Lunchables in the car park. You see, it doesn't really there is nothing about United right now that seems like Ten Hag is in control of anything, and nothing makes sense. So for me personally, I'm way past the point of getting really up and down about losses and wins. We lose, I kind of expect it. We win, it doesn't mean anything because we're not really competing for anything meaningful either. So that none of this really changes anything for me. This is exactly what I expected to happen, and I predicted it.
Do you know what? I want us to say something really interesting, right? I was watching Gravenberch in the last few games. I didn't watch all of the Liverpool match today because, by the way, I will say this: what a disgrace the Premier League on Sundays, especially, are overlapping games the way they did. It should not be. Even in countries where you can watch all the games, like America and wherever else, people pay to be able to watch all the games. How dare they overlap them? It's ridiculous to me. I get it. The 3 p.m. on Saturdays, it's a traditional thing, but on Sundays, no. Anyway, especially when you've got like a big game like a derby, Manchester derby, everyone wants to watch it. But I watched Gravenberch, and I look how good he looks. And of course, you get what I call the basic line football analysis and banter of, oh, you bought the wrong one. I guarantee you, if Amrabat went to Liverpool and Gravenberch came to Man United, Amrabat would look like he did at the World Cup, and we'll be looking at Gravenberch going, oh my God, have we just gone and rebought Fred? I almost guarantee that is what would have happened. There must be a reason that every player that we signed that Pep Guardiola wanted died at our club. But we all know that, in my opinion, Fred, Alexis, even Maguire, I think if they went to City, a well-run club with great structure, brilliant culture, and a world-class manager, the best manager alive, they would not be looked at in the way they looked at now. Genuinely, I believe that. And the sobering fact is, it was such a good start year one by Ten Hag. He overachieved with what we thought he could do. Some good football. We wanted it to evolve. He spent money. He's got a lot of his own way. He's gone. And he said today, the reason for putting Johnny Evans in this team, the reason for leaving Reguilon on the bench, the reason for leaving Varane and Mount and Anthony, players he spent a lot of money on buying, was a tactic.
That dickhead said it's a tactical decision just to do that. Tactical, and you're giving me that? If you know what, Hamza? I actually don't like a lot of the things that you say because you're a wind-up. You're my guy, but you're a wind-up. But you know what you said, Hamza, that was right all along? You said that guy talks way too much. And he really does. I watched that, and I think that interview made me rage. He answered with one simple word, and he was like, tactical. Bro, that's all you're saying? We're seeing the most horrific decisions in terms of your starting lineup, and everyone is scratching their heads. Even Hamza, Hamza was probably sitting there. He was like, yo, I thought I was going to win, but it shouldn't be that easy. This is the lineup you're putting against me. At least make it hard for me. And the guy says, tactical. Bro, at least lie and say it was injury. At least we can make an excuse for you. He's that guy, bro. You know, in every fight, when there's a bunch of people, let's say there's a bunch of people fighting, my boys and your boys were fighting, there's always that one guy that talks a lot of shit. He's the first one to get smacked. First one to get smacked. That's Ten Hag. Ten Hag, with his group of friends, he was that guy that always talks the most shit. And then someone smacks him on his bald head. And that's what he did today. Talking out, saying tactical when you're benching your best players, most of them that you signed, just to say tactical. And then you get outdone like that. Got outdone for 90 minutes, and you're talking to me about tactical. Absolute fraud. Get him out, man. I don't want this guy no more. Get him the hell out.
Mate, I get your emotions. Sunshine, it was a horrible day again for Man United fans. A lot of people turning on him. I've said I've lost my trust. Staffy wants him out. Where are you with this now? I know you know that it won't improve us in the long term because of deeper problems at the club, but he's making horrendous decisions, all sorts of craziness going on. Give us your thoughts, Sunshine.
Yeah, I mean, today was probably the first time I've actually sat there and gone, I got no clue what you're doing, broski. I cannot defend certain things. The first half, I mean, again, I always give a manager the word, literally, like I said before, I let a manager and any manager judge them by their standards. So if you're going to come out and tell me tactical is your reasoning, I've got no issue with that, because I look at the first half and go, okay, well, if it's tactical, it has to work because you're under pressure. Did it work? In my honest opinion, up until a controversial decision, yes, it did. So I can't sit here and go fully in just because we didn't get the result that we all know we didn't want to get. I even said to Hamza the other day, I didn't think we'd win. So I'm not on that emotional train, I'll be honest. And if I'm being very, very fair and balanced, though it's difficult to probably hear these words from a United fan because everyone's feeling the type way it's a derby. Yeah, I clocked out a long time ago. So for me personally, I don't believe that first half was an issue. I actually think we could have gone 2-1, 3-1 up, maybe 3-2. And I say that in the first 10 minutes when Bruno pressed and we won the ball back high, we had 4-on-3 chance a couple of times. If we were more clinical in those first areas, similar to the Tottenham game, where against Tottenham, we won the ball back quite high. We did pretty well in terms of nullifying Tottenham. If you go 2 goals up or make it 2-2, 2-1, that's where your confidence comes from. And my issue with this team, Terry, especially for that first half, is that when you don't put the ball in the back of the flipping net, you start to lose the confidence. We're already low on confidence. If you go and bag goals, you then ultimately get a nice little boost going into the second half. We're not helping ourselves by doing that. So that first half for me, I didn't have an issue with Ten Hag. However, that second half was absolutely disgusting. From the moment that second goal goes in, I'm sorry, you revert back to whatever you're trying to do and you go and try and throw the kitchen sink at it. You don't keep Lindelof on at left back for a whole 70+ Ross Clark minutes. You just don't do that. There's no defending that. You have a left back in Reguilon who's come back. He's already played minutes prior to him coming back. You stick him on. You got to play the guy. You have to play the guy. Amrabat, he takes Amrabat off. Is it for the yellow card? Yes, but really and truly, I'd rather see Amrabat play for the whole 90 minutes and potentially get a red as opposed to taking him off because you've got no other sixes and put McTominay there. That makes no sense to me. Rashford, once again, ghosting. Bruno, shocking. After that first 20 minutes where he's pressing, putting the work rates, winning the ball back, and we're doing all the things that Ten Hag system is employed to do, which is to win the ball high up the pitch and then have fast transition into the final third and create opportunities, which we keep doing every single game, but it only happens for the first 20 minutes. But then, like you said, Terry, we mentally can't maintain that because if we don't take those chances, we then take the foot off the gas, we then start overcomplicating things. How many times today did we see second half? Could have put the ball in the box and you're there passing it around. And then Bruno has to swing the foot at it and makes a horrible cross. We're building ourselves up to have this mentality in second half games. And this is why I say some of the performances, right, don't overshadow the result. The results are overshadowing some of the performances. I genuinely believe I can see what Ten Hag's trying to do. Most of us see it for 10, 20 minutes. But like you said, the mentality is not there. And if you don't capitalize in those first 20 minutes when you're making these chances, like we did against Arsenal, like we did against Spurs, like we did today against City in the first 10, 15 when they were looking shaky, if you don't capitalize, you set yourself up for failure. And that's where I look at these players. But today, Ten Hag did not help himself whatsoever. So respectfully, again, no matter if you set Ten Hag tomorrow, that's cool. But the next manager, I will say the same thing. I need a manager who needs 3-4 seasons. And I wish we had Arsenal fans right now because Man United fans are experiencing exactly what Arsenal fans were saying about Arteta. And the only difference about Arteta, respectfully, is that when there was a board change with Edu and they started to move in the right direction for their club, they got rid of Aubameyang, they took loss on their assets. They started to actually put things in place. And then they used the wealth of that to go and get their main target in Declan Rice. We should have been getting Harry Kane. Made no sense. And the last thing I will finish on, Terry, is Onana. Today, his kicking wasn't 100%, but the biggest part of him was keeping the ball out of the back of the net. He was absolutely incredible. That's all I asked for a man. If you're going to replace De Gea, replace him with the pros that he came with. He did that today. Yes, we conceded 3. But really and truly, if we can't have the profiles to enable Onana's ability to play the system, and he only makes maybe 2, 3, 4 passes and 8, although it's 50%, but we can't retain the ball. What was the point in changing the keeper in the first place? If you're just going to have a keeper to keep the ball at the net, you've just wasted 46 million. That's not Onana's fault. That's the manager's fault. Because really and truly, there were other areas where we needed boosting. That was obvious. So now, if he goes and brings 10 on, but I don't want De Gea back. It makes no sense because that means you would have wasted 46 million. Think about it. It makes no sense.
No, mate, listen, I totally agree. And look, I get that what some United fans at back Ten Hag are saying. Arteta, it took him time. I'm at a point, and as we learn and as we watch, we evolve, we educate ourselves. I look at the Arteta thing and I think to myself, he is an anomaly. He's not the rule. I think he's going to listen, and he still hasn't won anything outside the FA Cup year one. So but he might build a good foundation for somebody else. But we can clearly see systematic changes taking place at the football club. The problem that we've got, and I'm actually at this point with Man United, and some United fans will say I'm lowering standards here. I'm not. I'm living in reality. I'm at a point where I can't build myself up and expect this club to win major trophies with how we're run. Yes, people will say, but you spend enough to. Yeah, we do. And that's one of the irony is it's one of the biggest reasons I'm angry that we spent 400 odd million pound on this manager and we're going backwards. We spend it poorly. The managers that come in are not right for one reason or another. They end up not being right. I'm just at a stage now where I'm almost like, I want us to get back to that stage, but don't believe it can happen with this ownership. So let's just bring a manager in and instruct him to play some nice, entertaining football. At the very least, we should be given that. And although people say that's lower, it's not lowering standards. I demand more, but we can only get more if the clubs run better. And maybe with Sir Jim coming in, maybe the change will be implemented for us to be able to do both things, where we can play nice football and progress back to winning things. But I'm just at a stage where I think to myself, I don't see the point of someone like a Ten Hag, same as I didn't see the point of someone like a Jose, of not winning the league and Champions League and playing bad football. If we're not going to win it, we might as well play nice football. It's just, do you understand where I'm coming from? It's not even about lowering standards. It's just, we don't do either of those things well. It's crazy.
Spurs.
I think
become Spurs.
We play football. We spend like City, and we play like Stoke.
And
it don't make sense.
You know what it is. You know what it is. For a project manager like Ten Hag, you have to have everything absolutely bang on behind the scenes, where he has an idea of a style of play that he wants to play. He is able to bring in exactly the players that he wants, and he's given enough time, i.e. 3-4 years, to really sort of change the whole team around. But at United, we don't do any of that. We do everything in halves. We'll give you one player that you want in Onana, but in front of him is nobody able to play the same type of football. We'll give you the 9 that you want, but around them, none of the people that are on the same page. We'll give you a midfield with Mount Casemiro, where there's mad gaps in between them. So realistically, there's no way any manager could do that. We need what we need is actually a short-term. We need just short-term managers, really, because the long-term, we just can't do it. We don't have it in us to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. And this is the thing. Me and Lee Gunner fight about this a lot. And I know there's a lot of people, a lot of United fans online that speak about you've got to have high standards. Yes, I can have high standards of where I want us to be. But my high standards of where I want us to be as a club, it's not like a monolith. It doesn't mean every element of every sector of Man United I can apply those standards to, because if we don't have the people in charge to achieve those standards, me expecting that to happen is weird, right? So let's just give you an example. If there's an Arsenal fan out there who thinks the manager's crap and his players are crap and they're awful, it makes no sense that you're angry when you don't win games. You should only really be angry if you were expecting better, right?
Yeah.
You can't have high expectations of things that you don't rate. So I don't rate how we run as a club. So I can't have the expectation in reality for us to be doing what City are doing, for us to be doing what, the Bayern Munichs of this world and the Real Madrids do, because we're not run like that. However, I'm just at a stage now. This is what United have reduced me to. Just bring in a manager and play nice, or just say to Ten Hag, just play nice football. The problem he has, though, there's no structure to this team. There's no shape to this team. I watch City a lot. I watch everybody's teams a lot. The way they work. Look at Spurs at the moment. They don't move the ball well. But watch how they get back into shape when they lose possession now. That I've said this about Pep all the time. Everyone talks about the tiki-taka and the shapes and the passing. That's not the impressive bit with Pep's teams. It's how hard they work and get back into shape. If you didn't get back into shape that regularly, you'd be susceptible to be attacked. And Ten Hag can't get this group of players to do it. So it's either he doesn't know how to do it, which is weird, or it's a cultural issue at the football club, which is a deeper thing. But for me, it's just, I think he's lost that dressing room now. I do believe those players are not playing for the manager. That's how it looks. And it's felt that way all season, because if you go back through all the games, deep all the problems, midfield being run through, teams always out of shape, nobody's scoring, even our better players are all out of form. All these things going wrong at the same time say one thing to me: they're not playing for the manager. That's all it says. So yeah, I feel horrible feeling this way, but I'm honestly right now, unless he changes it, I'm done with Ten Hag. I don't support him being here anymore.
Okay, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I have to roll up my sleeves because Sunshine's not going to be the only one flexing today, and I need to flex today because that loss last season at Old Trafford still to this day bun me. So I'm glad we got the result that we wanted. But what I'm hearing from you United fans, you're all over the place. You're all over the place. You say that Ten Hag overachieved last season. So he overachieved last season. You can't hold him to the standard of what you really accomplished last year because he got you some bonus results. You guys are actually, let me just say this. You guys are
just agreeing with you, bro. Sorry.
Oh, respect. You guys are actually not to the level that you accomplished last year. So have that perspective as Ten Hag is managing this team. You're riddled with injuries. He's trying to make it work. And for you, and again, for those that forget their past, compromise their future. That's why I got this saying back here. And it's important because it's part of what City's all about. You guys know what it was like before your greatest manager. You guys also know the time that you gave him to make it work. I know he had a great resume coming in beforehand, so you trusted him. But Ten Hag, to a certain degree, should get more than a season or 2 seasons. Correct. If you're really going to try to make this work. Let the man make mistakes. Let the man clear out the dead weight that should be there. But you guys are all over the place. It's funny because I thought you guys were built better than Arsenal fans. But what I'm hearing right now is you wouldn't even sustain a type of, hold on, that you wouldn't even sustain.
Let me just interject for a minute. V, let me just interject. I want to ask some questions because I'm not. You may be right, but I want to ask you. I want to dig into what you're saying. So when he keeps playing Rashford, who's out of form, when he wants to sell Scott McTominay, and is now starting him over his £60 million signing in Mason Mount, when he's consistently putting Bruno on the right when he's awful, although yes, he overachieved last year. Yes, we know we need a manager here. We need to rebuild. We need to do things right. Those types of mistakes for me that's not getting rid of dead wood. That isn't Bruno playing in his natural position of being awful. Those kind of mistakes that he keeps making, and you've got that saying on your screen, I like it. But what about the saying of trying to do the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is insanity? That's not quite the same, but you know what I'm alluding to.
I hear you.
Where do you stand on the challenges?
I stand on he's got to fail. You question him 100%. He gets it wrong consistently 3, 4, 5 games, but let the man fail, right? It's already 10 games into this season, and you're like, I'm done with him. And that's okay.
What was it? But V, only Staffy has said Ten Hag out, and Terry said he's lost trust in him. Not me, DZ, and Neji have not even said get him gone. We just said he's in. We just don't know what he's doing. So fair. I get where you're coming from with the United fans thing, but at the same time, people on this stream,
but like I said as well, and when you say we're all over the place, that's going to happen when you get loads of fans on because we've all got different opinions. But what I would say is this, and I do get your challenge, bro, and I think it's a fair one. I've lost faith in him, but I also said 2 things. One, if he turns it round, I'll change my mind. Yeah. As in, I'll believe in him again. Secondly, I've also said I don't think sacking him is going to make us a better team in the long run. I don't think it will fix Man United, but I'm at a point where I just think he's making huge mistakes that are very obvious, and that's nothing to do with having to clear out dead wood. The fact is, he tried to clear out McTominay, now he's starting him, spent £60 million on Mount, doesn't have a plan for him, as an example. We're not playing in a way that utilises the best of Onana and his passing abilities. We've got a left-back on the bench, but we play Lindelof there, who's on his weak foot and he's not very agile. There's all these things that are going on, and you think to yourself, I don't think a manager of his experience should be making these mistakes. They're huge mistakes. It's almost in a working environment. it's like it's if a doctor leaves, if you get an operation and a doctor leaves a scalpel inside of you, he's going to be struck off.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter that he saved 1 million lives before. That's gross misconduct. And for me, what he's doing, these decisions he's making, like today, taking off Amrabat and putting McTominay in his position, that is gross negligence as far as I'm concerned. It is malpractice as a manager, and I've lost faith that he is the person to take this team forward. Now, that doesn't mean sack him per se, but I'm looking at these mistakes. He isn't making the changes, and he said he played Johnny Evans over Varane for a tactic. Bruv.
Listen, Terry, playing against City, right? 3-peat treble winners can mess up your brain, can have you overthink. I've seen my manager. I've seen my manager overcomplicate things. I've seen my manager not make a sub when I'm like,
you're saying this from a privileged position. You're telling people, oh, it's okay to skip a meal. I skip meals sometimes, but you've got a banquet and we're out here on the street starving, bruv. You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing. Listen, we are not just saying this because we lost to Man City. This is an accumulation of an entire, you can even say preseason. Because this is a preseason issue that's been stemming through.
It isn't 10 games.
Easy could even take it further back into parts of last season as well.
Since Newcastle, since we won the Carabao Cup, since we played Newcastle, we have been dire since, and the cracks in this team have been showing since then. So this whole where is all of this coming from? And United fans are mad reactionary. If you watch United game in and game out, as much as me, Terry, KJ, Sunshine, Staffy do, we can see the cracks in all of the performances every game. So it's not just the overreact. And then also my question to you, City fans, is what is the minimum expectation? You say that he overachieved last season, which is correct. Yes, he did. I will give you that. But then you come into a season now where you have played no good football, barring Crystal Palace. You have played 13, 14 games, and none of them have been good. You've lost 7 of them. Over 50% of the games that you've played, you've lost. And the games that you've won, I think 3 of them have been dubious. 1 of them have been 2 90th minute goals, and we've scored 11 goals all season. Where does all of that fall and how United fans are supposed to react?
The reaction is fine. It's 10 games in.
It isn't 10 games. It isn't 10 games. It's 10 games into this season, but that doesn't mean you undo the what we've been going through. And it's right. Since we won that Carabao Cup, the standards have fallen off. And I'm someone that defended him through it. Okay, yeah, we had some bad results, but we'll turn it around. I believed in him. I don't anymore. And the thing is this, you said it's because it's against City. He's been making these mistakes against Burnley. He made these mistakes against Sheffield United. So it isn't that he galaxy brained it for one game and got it wrong.
You could have argued that he had...
Hang on. You said about Pep. Pep does make mistakes. But have you ever seen Pep move a player into a new position at foul? Have you ever seen that?
Put a player in a new position and fail?
Yeah. Have you seen him change a role?
Yeah, I was yelling at Pep when Walker was inverted.
Okay, yeah. Okay, he has, yes. But then as soon as it doesn't work, even mid-game, he stops it. Or he does, if it fails once, he very rarely tries it again. What Ten Hag is doing, Bruno has probably played 30 games on a wing, and he's awful at it. And he won't, and that's the difference here. So for me, if you try Bruno on the ring, when he put him on the left wing in that 7-0 defeat against Liverpool, most of us defended Bruno and he ain't a left winger. That's terrible by the manager. But when he keeps playing him on the wing, you're like, hang on a bloody minute. As much as I'm criticizing Bruno, I sympathize with him also because he's being played in positions that he's rubbish at. Your manager doesn't do that. Klopp doesn't do that. And at the end of the day, yes, look, it does wind people up when you see Arsenal getting better and Spurs resurgent straight away. And that isn't even what I'm focusing on. I'm just saying that I don't believe he's turning this around. There's too many problems at the club right now in terms of how we play and how players are performing for it just to be like there are some United fans that will say, drop Rashford and Bruno, we'll sell them and we'll be fine. Wrong. There's some are saying if we'd have kept David De Gea, this wouldn't have happened. Wrong. Some are saying that Casemiro's legs are gone. That's why we were getting run through. Wrong. And this is what, and that's not digging anybody out. I've seen people tweet those things. We've had Sunshine and Staffy both fight with each other, and I'm just gonna it's not quite how it went. But one was perceived to be slagging off the Onana thing and buying him and not striker was a problem. Staffy was saying like Casemiro's a problem. We should have sold him and got rid of him. None of those. They've been issues, but none of those things are the reason why we're failing. It's the manager. The manager is the reason. The manager is the reason that it's not all knitting together. And I truly believe, and again, I don't think long term this will work. But if you brought in a De Zerbi, 6 months to a year, this team would play well again. The culture at the club would eventually ruin him as well. Like that will happen. Until the culture's fixed, it doesn't really matter. But that's why I'm not this huge advocate for let's just sack him, because I don't believe long term it's going to fix us anyway. But I've lost trust in him. I want to go to some super chats here. We are going to speak on City as well because they also played in this game. This here from Chike says Amrabat subbed. Sorry, already done that super chat. Sorry, it says out of your current squad, who would you keep? 6 games in November, 8 in December. United, can United cope? B, I would say this. Who would I keep? I'd keep Højlund, I'd keep Rashford, I'd keep Bruno, I'd keep Casemiro, I'd keep Amrabat, I'd keep Onana, Varane, Lissandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, There's lots of these players I would keep. And do you know why I know this is, again, part of it is coaching and part of it's the culture. Teams with players that you would not sign at Man United play better football than we do. And I mean, it's nice. There's a few really good players at Brighton, but most of their players, no one in the top 6 would buy. But look how well they move the ball. Yes, this squad does need to improve if we want to become as good as City, as good as Bayern. But in terms of moving the ball and keeping in shape, they're good enough to do it because lesser players do it at other clubs. So for me, I wouldn't. You don't need to get rid of 20 odd players, really. You just don't. Look how Spurs are playing football. Look how dead they were last year. Yes, they've added some good guys that look good, but look how they're all playing this year compared to last year. It's crazy. I'm not trying to catch you out. That's my opinion. Fair enough, Jamie, mate. No, I'm just talking in general, but thank you. United's league gunner is back. Yes, that's obviously for Staffy. Hamza, please play the trumpet for United. I don't know what that means.
I played the trumpet to say rest in peace. You know that trumpet?
Wait, the American thing.
Yeah, I did that. I said rest in peace, United. 29th of October, 2023. This era's come to an end.
We've died
there
like
we go.
6 times in the last 10
This
years.
here says, whenever Rory opens his mouth to question Haaland, this guy goes crazy. If I'm a United or Brighton fan, I'm suing Rory. How's VAR so bad in England? I did want to ask you all about that as well, away from our poor performance. I want to go to Hamza first on this. What did you make of the penalty decision that you were given today?
It's fair, absolutely fair. I don't know why you complain. You got outplayed, like, literally. It was a fair. The guy was nudging him back, and I'm thinking,
okay, just want to say very quickly, because this is, I'm going to sound very arrogant here. This is the football terrace, and it isn't basic bitch analysis. Hang on, stop. Let me finish my point. You're not listening. We were outplayed, and you deserve to win. No one's questioning that at all. What I'm asking you is, do you think it was a penalty? 100%. Don't go with the. Yeah, but you also started saying we outplayed you. Something to do with that. I want to know about the penalty as an individual incident. Go on, bruv.
I think straight away, like, I looked at that and I thought, why would you do that in the penalty box? Why would you do that? You're risking to give a penalty away. There's no doubt about it. You hinder his run. It's a fact. And now, currently, like any little decision, it gets looked at. Yeah. And the fact that he dragged him back and he stopped him running, then you have to look at that and say, where was he running at? He was running towards goal. 100% that's a penalty. It's not.
Okay, let's just sit in your world. Okay, so what you're saying is if a player's running towards goal, he's either got the ball or he's going to get the ball and he's got a chance to score. Any kind of pull or tug that impedes him is a foul, yeah?
It's 2023 completely. Any little things. Like even
okay, I agree. Okay, we'll agree. So you do then agree then that John Stone should have been sent off for this then because he pulls him back when he's going to shoot. Based on what you just said, based on what you just said, any little pull, any little tug in 2023. So you do agree, Hamza, that John Stone should have seen red for this.
Let me tell you that if he had gone down, straight away.
If he dives, then it's a foul.
Listen, if I drag you down and I fell down, then it shows the guy was dragged little, like a little drag, and he managed to continue running.
It's not little.
Listen, oh my God, how That means then you're gonna have to stop the football
You know,
match every 2
Hamza,
minutes.
Ha-
Any
Hamza,
little
Hamza,
touch,
Hamza,
Oh,
any
Hamza,
little touch
gotta
is
be
gonna be
substantial.
up to 5 minutes. What are we doing?
Rodri,
Why are you complaining?
Hamza. No, Raza. Rodri did not need to go down by the actions of Hoyland.
What?
Correct.
Hoyland did not need to go down in that situation, but yet what happens is we don't get called the calls. I remember one time Carl Walker pushed Raheem Sterling in the back for again when he was playing for Tottenham against Man City. And he stood up, he didn't fall over, but it was a clear foul, and he didn't get called the penalty. Pushes in the back, drag backs shouldn't
Yeah.
be just because he stayed on his feet, go
Yes.
for it. It
Yes.
shouldn't be that way. No, it shouldn't. It
I'm
shouldn't.
sorry.
No,
Because
I'm sorry.
listen, you someone who
Hold
said
on.
he's played football before. Now, listen, you're telling me if someone just touched me lightly, I should go down just no matter what.
No.
Oh.
Exactly.
So what?
There's a
Exactly.
level
So
of
Hoyland should not go
V,
down in
so
that situation.
V, what are you saying on this?
I'm saying, and again, I still remember the VAR call from last season. That was a non-offside. That's why I'm still flexing and I'm upset.
Okay.
I don't get
okay.
today, if it's substantial enough to bring a player down, yes, it's a foul. But again, a tug on the shirt shouldn't be a foul because look at this. This is
It
light.
wasn't a
But
tug
if
on the
you're,
shirt, though.
if I'm, no, I know, but as Terry was asking Hamza, is a little bit, is everything a foul? No, a little tug of the shirt is not a foul. But
It wasn't a tug of the shirt, bro. Man fully gripped his like my hands are big, bro. Like
yeah,
he
but
fully
you
got a face plant on his
Holland
shoulder.
was also pushing back. I've seen it thousands of
No,
times.
that's called a handoff, yeah, to maintain balance, because that's what you do because you're still eager to go towards goal. Two, he's got nowhere near the ball. He's actually made significant contact on his shoulder enough to throw him off on that line of run. If he goes down, it's a penalty. That's the only thing, but you shouldn't have to go down based on that play.
Maguire, but Maguire released it in time. Like it's a man's game. There's
Look,
going to be physicality.
I'll keep it 100.
So
I'll keep it 100. I thought the City one was a penalty, Terry. I'll be honest. I thought the City one was a penalty because, in my honest opinion, although there wasn't enough contact on him to go down, which I don't believe, he was impeded on the run, and it looked like he was going to again have the opportunity. But I was also equally as frustrated as at the other end because that was more of an impediment. The only thing is, Haaland was playing the good game and staying on his feet. So, was it soft? Yes, 100%. Do they normally get given? No. So I understand it not being a penalty. However, if that is given in this game, then that one should have been given. If that one isn't given, no one's complaining because we've seen it not only in past 10 years since the Premier League started and we started getting on TV. That happens every game in every single league, from non-league to Premier League to World Cup and everything. So if that's not a penalty, then again,
the funny
shouldn't be having
thing
this conversation.
The funny thing is, they gave the penalty for what happened against Rodri. They didn't give the penalty for Stones, and they didn't give the penalty for Maguire, who held up Haaland. So we know it happens every play when you're going.
But we're arguing consistency rather than
and that's more the point here, and that's what I said at the beginning. So when I turn around and say robbed, I'm all good for this being a foul. I understand why it's given, but you have to then give all of them. So yeah, you're right. Maybe we should have considered another penalty. The John Stones one wasn't even discussed or looked at, and do you know why? Because it isn't. This is the thing. Those kind of pulls. Hamza's right. All those little, no, he's not right. Sorry. All those little pulls, they're not really fouls because there's like a threshold to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's put his arm around Rodri, but Rodri spins himself round and dives and throws his hands in the air and gets it. And I saw a lot of people tweet this, and it shows you what a sad state of affairs football's in, where people said Hoyland should have just gone down and dived and he'd have got the penalty. We've got to a point now where we're telling our players to dive and cheat after 25 years of saying stop diving and cheating. And I'm not calling out City. City didn't cheat. This isn't on City. And I've said this in so many streams in the last few weeks. And whenever a team feels aggrieved, they back me and go, yeah, you're right, Terry. Whenever it's their team that's benefited, they make it about them. This is about consistency. You guys will, I guarantee you won't see a penalty like this conceded now for weeks. But there'll be pulls and tugs in every single game, or blocking runs. Obstruction's an offense, right?
Mm.
Well, why wasn't a foul given before for John Stone standing in the way of Maguire? Because if Maguire can make his run into the box to chase the ball, Rodri doesn't get there anyway. And I don't think it is a foul, but the point is the consistency is on the floor. So,
I thought the same thing. Sorry, Terry. I thought the same thing in that second goal. I think it was Ben White who got in front of the keeper. I thought Arsenal getting that next goal was obstruction of their keeper, but it happens. You just got to be clever with it. Unfortunately, players that are physical, like another player, no disrespect, but I think a Bruno would have gone down in that situation. I think he would have been savvy enough to felt the contact and would have gone down. Certain players that play with physicality, they play through it. And yes, he played through it. He didn't get rewarded.
Though, broski. And again, this is why it's funny, because United fans have been handed so much ammo this season to call out inconsistencies. So we're now at a stage, and I said this on Mo's channel the other day. I said, Man United aren't playing well enough at all, and sometimes you need a little bit of luck to go your way when things aren't going well. We're not even getting the rub of the green when we should be. And it's getting to the point where it's actually ridiculous because we've been given so much ammo. It's like, okay, we understand we hurt your childhood. We understand there's going to be some biases somewhere, but not this overtly. Like, this is crazy, mad.
I totally agree. And Chris here says he grabbed him, Terry. Come on, haha. But do you know what? This is what I'm saying to you, Chris. Let's just say, okay, it's a foul, but then we need just go and watch corners and go and watch free kicks, especially where the ball's delivered into the corridor of uncertainty and players are running in. You'll see blocked runs, pulling and holding from both sets of players, defending and attacking every single game. The fact this one, and by the way, players throw themselves down all the time and throw their arms up, and it's rarely given. The point here is the consistency. To give it once every 50 or 100 times it happens damages the integrity of football, because it means City were given an advantage today that you might find in the next 50, 60 games played by all teams, nobody else is given. How is that fair? It's like the penalties for handballs. Last weekend, the same handball happened in 3 or 4 games and they were all given. But we all know in a few weeks, you're going to get a few of those happen and they're not given. And then suddenly, hang on, United conceded one. Who else conceded one? Brighton conceded one. How is it then fair in 2 weeks if another team doesn't concede for the same reason? You damage the integrity of the sport without consistency. And that's my problem here. If you want to make that a foul, then it's fine to be a foul. But every single tug and pull that obstructs a player has to be given, and they won't do it. And that's my problem. To intervene then and not on many other occasions is crazy. I want to go to some more super chats here. We've got a lot of them that have come through. Sancho is better than Anthony. Anthony is a clown. Yeah, I agree with you. I do think Sancho is a technically better football player than Anthony. I just wish that when Sancho had played for us, he delivered based on his ability clear for days. But neither have done anything for Man United, in my opinion. Neither have done enough for Man United. So, again, that's like having a micro-penis competition, and it's just pointless. Staffy, you've disappointed me. Shame on you. From Staffy's ultimate hater. Dizzy went from no shirt to wearing a hoodie.
That's Maradon's best comment ever.
That is the best comment you've ever put in here, mate. That's class, mate. Because it's fun banter rather than weird stuff. Ten Hag out. United fans need better. He has to go. Bad tactics, bad management. Dutch Ollie. Hash bar Ollie. I don't know what I mean. Oh, hash bar. Right, I get you. Yeah, sorry. Amsterdam and all that. Not good enough. Sancho will outlast him. Again, that last bit, we'll see. But that's also the one thing about getting a new manager. This is just shameless. You do get excited again. Oh, who's going to have a resurgence? Remember, whatever happens, it's only going to last about a year. Then it's over, bruv. Then it's over. This is the worst I've seen United play as a team. I've seen worse, but it's terrible.
Ragnick was worse.
Yeah, Ragnick stuff, that was... United fans admitting an L before kickoff at Old Trafford and coming on here saying we played well until the decision is a weak and bitch stance. Mateus, I think I know what I said wasn't quite that, and I know Staffy said something similar to that, but he was essentially saying that let's just say the penalty didn't happen, we got into half-time, we were in it, we were doing okay, and then he made the change and it ruined us. His point was more along the lines of we weren't great, but we weren't like out of the game. City weren't ripping through us up until that goal. There was that one chance for Haaland, the header that with the great save. They weren't making me feel that vulnerable when they attacked. I thought we were relatively comfortable considering how bad we are and how good they are. But no, I get where you're coming from. Justice for Sancho. Thank you, bro. Yeah, go on, KJ.
I was about to say, like, the annoying thing as well with this whole situation with Ten Hag, now every decision he has made is getting scrutinized. So you'll get people come out of the woodwork. I saw Piers Morgan still on his ass about flipping Ronaldo come out of the woodworks. The Sancho people coming out of the woodworks. Maguire, McTominay, whoever has an agenda against Ten Hag, they can now full and have it out now, and it's just frustrating.
But here's the thing, though: when you make those ballsy decisions, when you make
Yeah,
the
you have
good
to pay off.
calls,
That's
you
fair.
have to get it right. You don't have a choice. So when they don't pay off, this is all that was ever going to happen.
But this is the thing, though, Diz, yeah. This one's trying to say to United fans. I'll try to anyway. Try is a key word. There has to be a level of balance. Like there has to be a level of emotional maturity when shit hits the fan at times, because there will be times when you can justify and sit here just like today and go, he got it absolutely wrong and it was all his fault. There will be times in the season where that happens, and rightly so. We can throw the full book at it, no stress. But there are times when perspective, as I think the City fan said, I don't know your name too tough, brethren, but say again. Vader. That's sick. Quite even like that's sick. Yeah, but but yeah, like as Vader was saying, use the word perspective. Do you know what I mean? It's an alien word with some United fans, but perspective is necessary if you're genuinely, objectively looking at your team and where it's at. And yes, we did overachieve last season, but like I said, this season as well, we've made profile changes so much, and the injuries have impacted us so much that there's going to have some level of drop off. And this is honestly, in my honest opinion, the worst period Ten Hag's found himself in for a long time. Now, are we going to throw the towel in the moment like shit don't go our way for the first time? And this is the bit where I think I understand the frustration. I feel the same thing. I understand the how can I put it? The lack of understanding towards what he's trying to do, because sometimes he confuses himself. All relevant and fair comments, but the overall picture is we all know that a new manager ain't going to change shit. We all know that just bringing in one player or removing players ain't going to change shit. So something has to change and be different. So perspective, to Vader's point, is, and again, you may disagree, guys, so, have your opinion. But for me, the perspective is he's having an absolute woeful time at the moment, trying to figure out not only the stuff on the pitch and off the pitch, he needs some time to sort it out. And if we're genuinely and honestly looking to be successful to a certain level, then we can all admit, whether it's Ten Hag or a new manager, that they need a minimum of 3 to 4 seasons, because we have to change something. And sometimes as United fans, we have to sit here, hold some L's, make it get worse before it gets better. And I think that's where we're struggling with. This is Ten Hag's first real bad patch. And we're already seeing, in my honest opinion, premature ideas of get out. And I think it's more emotionally driven than logically driven, if I'm being honest. But that's just my opinion. And I may offend some people like that, but it is what it is.
I understand that. I would say as well, when it comes to the emotional intelligence side of things, I lost my trust in him today. However, the whole Sancho will come back and cook, I don't want to talk about any of that. I don't want to hear any of that. The whole, let's get rid of Rashford and Bruno are the reason that it's happening. Listen, we've done this for 10 years. Every time a manager's close to leaving, we're like, these 3 or 4 players are going to cook when the new guy comes in. These 2 or 3 are going to be kicked out the club when a proper coach comes in. And nothing ever really changes. So for me, it's low-hanging fruit. It will attract attention. Rivals will jump on it. Yeah, we can call him out. Remember, rivals are jumping on. I want Sancho to work at Man United, by the way. But rivals jump on it, and they're all like, oh, I can't believe the manager did what he did to Sancho. Now look at your performances. These are the same rival fans that were telling you how bad Sancho was for 2 years. Now suddenly they try and talk about Sancho as if he was an amazing player. They all did it in the last 3 games where Maguire was quite good. Rivals in the media started talking about how stupid we ever were to doubt Maguire. Don't be gaslit into thinking that even if you want Ten Hag out, that all the problems that have existed in the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years are magically going to disappear. And that's why, for me, it's almost like a bittersweet thing. I don't know. I don't trust that he's going to turn this round. But I equally don't believe, the same as when I said sacking Ollie wouldn't fix us, when I said sacking Jose wouldn't fix us, when I said sacking LVG wouldn't fix us, and when I said I didn't think we were broken when we sacked David Moyes. It was 1 year after Fergie. But with those other 3 managers, I said the same thing then, I'll say it again now. Don't delude yourself into thinking that we become Man United of old or knock City off the current perch they sit on for a prolonged period of time just by selling a few players, reinstating Sancho, and sacking this manager. Because we've been here. I've seen this movie before. And I'll give you this example. I'll give it again now. No matter how many times I watch Rocky IV, no matter how many times I plead with Apollo Creed to not get in the ring, no matter how many times I cry for Rocky to throw that towel in earlier, Apollo dies and leaves poor Adonis as a half an orphan, basically. It doesn't matter how many times I watch it, no matter how many times I scream for something different to happen, the ending always ends up the same. The amount of times I don't want Sirius Black to die. in Harry Potter, and he does every time. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing for me when it comes to Man United. I want it to be as simple as new manager, reinstate Sancho, sell Rashford, and we beat Man City and we dominate the ball and we look amazing. Anybody that's deluded enough into thinking that is going to happen, I worry for you. Like you're either crazy, right, or you're just doing it for attention, but that's not going to fix the football club. Let's get back to some more of these super chats here. This says, I really don't like watching Rashford and Bruno play. Neither are very good, is what Michelle Leon has got to say here. Thank you, Michelle. I think Ten Hag is focusing too much on things outside of football, blaming Sancho from the canteen as if he's eating lunch with his team is detrimental. Yeah, look, I'm not over. I haven't really done much content and all that other than the fact the club shouldn't be leaking it. We don't know what has or hasn't happened. I remember, Jose being called a bully and all these weird accusations towards him. We don't know. Maybe he is mistreating Jadon Sancho. When you read, he brings his lunch gets brought to him in a I hate all that stuff coming out. The biggest question is, why is that even coming out? The crazy thing is, Man United are releasing it to try and belittle Sancho, but it makes them look bad. It's crazy. It's crazy. Ridiculous. Let him sit there. The only bit I get is that you can't change in a dressing room with kids that are under 18. That makes sense. That's the only bit where I go, that's fair. Terry, I cannot trust a manager who abandons his style after losing 2 games in his first season. How much time does a man need to show us what he wants to do stylistically? I just have no idea. I think it's such a fair point. Such a great point. First mistake he made was adapting to players instead of letting players adapt to his style so he can wean out the players who don't fit. Erik Ten Hag is making repeated novice mistakes, and that's not the club's fault. Well, it's just the club's fault if they keep letting him do it, I suppose. Ten Hag honeymoon period is well and truly over, is what Terry Tibbs has got to say. As a Liverpool fan, that was never a penalty. Soft. Thank you, Terry. You're all joke, blatant pen, stop crying, Stones wasn't. Again, I need to see him given every game, but you won't. That's why. So again, it's not a pen, it's the inconsistency, and the argument keeps being reframed and moved. So when he pulled his shirt, that isn't what the question is. The question is, why is it not given every game? And if you can't answer that question, then you know that there's a problem here. The City fans are shameless, especially Hamza. Listen, they've got every right to be shameless. Best team in the world. They won again today. Let them be. None of them are penalties. Genuinely, what are we doing to this sport? City are the only team in the league that get that penalty. It happens weekly. Pathetic is what Highbury Ultra has got to say here. While we are complaining about referee decisions, can you, man, put the same energy into Anthony not getting a red card? Debate that for 20 minutes. Well, do you know what's interesting? We've all called him clowns and stupid, and I thought he was horrendous. And if he got sent off, I wouldn't have been surprised. I don't think did he actually land with a kick or did he swing?
Yeah.
He did.
He swung twice, and then he flicked his arm up when Ducky was pointing at him.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, it probably helped all our rivals him not being sent off because it means he can play the next 3 games. Thank you, City Bias. Andrew Tate got sent back to Romania by Jack Grealish. Subbed off at half time. What a world-class D. I wonder where that was going then. This is football, not strictly come dancing. So soft is what Tony Bloom says. This was United City's first penalty at Old Trafford in the last 31 years. Stop talking about stop talking.
Taking away
City's dominant performance just over a penalty. Well, this is it though, bro. We haven't. We've spent the majority of the show talking about the game and the performances, and obviously it's a bit more Man United centric. However, I don't think it's right to not call out inconsistencies in refereeing and the snakes just because the team who benefited were brilliant. If you start doing that, it means because most of the time the decisions don't change game. We can't just focus on it when it was a game was at 0-0 and both teams are playing good in the Liverpool game. And then when Man United have a really inconsistent decision go against them, just because we were outplayed doesn't mean it shouldn't be discussed. Referees shouldn't be given a free pass just because of that, my friend. And again, I know every time a team benefits from it and we talk about it, I understand why people get very like, oh, you're trying to take away from us. I've already said it twice. I'll say it a 3rd time now. It's nothing to do with City. I'm not saying only City get it. Forget the people that say that, they're saying it. I'm not. No one on the panel says just because it's City. It isn't just because it's City. Because we've seen all teams have benefited from bad decisions this year, but they must be called out. This notion of it's karma isn't going to help fix football, my friend. This is so. How do Spurs do so well this season with Postecoglou when Levy is still the chairman? United fans should stop blaming the owners. You're playing bad because your manager is average and not good enough. Okay, so who hired him? If we say the last part of your sentence is correct, and we all agree with you, who has hired the last 5 managers who have all not been good enough and have all been average and have all taken us backwards based on what you've said? If the same people keep hiring these managers, I'm going to blame the people hiring them in the end. So this
Also,
is my
Terry.
Sorry, go on, bro.
Sorry, just to that point as well. It's Ange is an anomaly right now in the grand scheme of football overall, and also if you're going to make a comparison to Ange's first season, then you have to start looking at Ten Hag at this point in the first season as well, not his second season. So if we're going to make those judgments, let's be accurate before we start.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have the conversation; it's not an issue, but let's put the facts in place before we have the conversation.
I agree. City and Newcastle are getting all the foul calls this season. Maybe one of those 1,000 plus charges against them. And Rodri is a brilliant player, but he's protected by the refs as much as possible. Listen, I don't think Rodri's protected by the referees. Rodri's obviously just smart. There must be something he does, the way he talks to the referees, the way he conducts himself. Like Bruno Fernandes, there was a time in the first half where he got checked off the ball. It was a foul. Referee didn't give it when Get Up. It's because Bruno Fernandes has created a reputation for himself, and he now won't be given the benefit of the doubt. It's almost like the boy that cries wolf. And Rodri obviously does things that we're not even privy to, that put him in the good graces of the referees, and that's fair play on him. Fair play to him.
I mean,
I praise him for that.
Yeah, Rodri's learned from Fernandinho, who was probably the master at it, right? And at the same time, I wouldn't say he's overprotected. He just came back from a red card, so he plays on that fine line. And I would argue that some calls go his way just because he doesn't have that reputation.
Yeah, no, I agree. Terry, how can subjectivity ever be consistent? Of course, but by the definition of objectivity is born out of data and facts. So if those types of pulls, those types of blocks on corners and free kicks are happening on a excessively regular basis, every game, multiple times, and you're not giving penalties for them, the data and the facts mean that you're not making a subjective decision, unless it's the shirt's being ripped off his back, unless there is something so significantly different about Rodri's compared to all the others. And for me personally, there just wasn't. And how do I know this? When you get Arsenal and Liverpool fans defending Man United and saying that's not a penalty, you kind of know it's wrong. So again,
no, I got to stop you there. When you have Arsenal and Liverpool fans in a title race, they will be against City. We got to be careful here.
Because United aren't a force no more. They've conceded that, so it actually makes sense to
okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough on that. But at the end of the day, subjectivity is only subjectivity if there's in this case, it's not, because the body of work makes it an objective decision. Do they normally give those types of fouls? No.
Right.
Therefore, they decided to do it this time. What we need as football fans is a clear and concise explanation as to why. We then take that as a new piece of data and a fact now, and then what we do as fans is we reapply it. Just like when they said that they didn't give 2 yellows to Kovacic because they made a conscious decision to not ruin the game, it then means you should not do it for any game. First game back after the international break, they gave 2 yellow cards, which means they've literally gone back against their own point they made. They said when Onana come out and smash the Wolves goalkeeper, there was a mistake. They should have given it. Sanchez smashes into an Arsenal player, not given. It's no longer objective when we have clear evidence and data and fact of what should happen in those circumstances, because it happened. Removing Bruno Shaw or Rashford won't automatically make us good, but we'll never be a top team with them. Both statements aren't mutually exclusive. Now, listen, I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that as an opinion, but it's this weird notion of just sell Bruno and Rashford and we'll be better. You're mad. If Ange can do it with Spurs, why can't Ten Hag do it with Man United? He dropped Lloris for Vicario, dropped Dyer, etc. Yet Ten Hag keeps woeful players on. Odd. Listen, that's why my faith in him has gone.
You know what, Terry? To anyone with that type of comment, right? Come the end of the season, I hope, and I genuinely hope, that my man Ange has a similar successful season, whether overachieved or not, has a similar success to his first season, because then we can actually have that conversation to go, okay, those are the standards. If not,
Yeah, no,
it's just
yeah.
premature. It's a premature thing to use at this stage, and I think there's plenty of things you can come for the manager for. But I don't think using Tottenham's situation is
wouldn't-
fair.
Yeah, for me personally, this isn't about what Postecoglou's doing when I'm calm. It's not even about in the reverse end of that spectrum. It isn't just a case of, well, just give him 4 years because Arteta did it. Those two things can both almost like anomalies. Very few managers start as well as Postecoglou. In fact, Postecoglou's start to life at Spurs is better than any manager's start at any club ever in Premier League history. So it's almost at a point where I can't quite use it as the example because it's such an anomaly. Even look at Pep nowhere near this level when he first came into City, and look how good he is. So I don't think those things matter. I'm looking at the things that Ten Hag's doing day to day, the mistakes he's making, the crazy decisions he's making during games, and the way the players are performing. In terms of City today, I know we spoke a lot of United. We have spoken on City a little bit. You guys were emphatic. You were dominant, moving that ball brilliantly. But I wanted to ask you about a player that gets a lot of plaudits, but he's been slagged off a lot this year in Erling Haaland. We had Hassam on the show Friday saying that he made a case of United getting something out of the game. And he said because Haaland doesn't do well away from home against top teams. And he showed up again today. Yes, one goal was a penalty that maybe shouldn't have been given, but he had to score it. He then misses a big chance. Well, a great save from Onana, gets his brace and just dominates another back line. He breaks another. He almost broke another record. He almost become the first player today in Premier League history to get 2 hat-tricks against Man United. No one's ever done that before, which is crazy. But yeah, just another super performance from.
No, incredible. And Don Hussam and his takes on Haaland and against City, like, take it with a grain of salt. But the man was phenomenal. And honestly, if he still hasn't found his shooting boots, had he, that would have easily been a hat trick. Like, Onana made a great save. But the movement, and for us as City fans to actually have a penalty taker, because it was a spell where we couldn't trust KDB, we couldn't trust Gundogan, we couldn't trust many of our players to take penalties, even Mahrez. So to have Haaland, and honestly, there's such a peace when he's over that ball. It's like it's going in. If it doesn't go in, it's an incredible save. But he was incredible. I needed that performance, and I told you guys, like, I was still heated from last season, man. Like that 2-1 that you guys got was bothering me. And so for how the team played, KJ, why are you making up your face?
You got a whole damn treble.
No,
and you're still going on about the damn.
I wanted a treble and a double over you guys
team,
last
bro.
year. I wanted the treble and the double over you.
Hey,
That's what I wanted.
be happy, fam. We're here starving, and man's talking about last season.
But trying to take pennies from the homeless, man. You're mad.
You guys have been rich for a long time, all right? You're just dealing with this right now.
No, we haven't.
We
haven't been rich for a long time at all, fam. We've been broke for 10+ years, fam.
Do you know what, man?
We filed for bankruptcy. Sorry.
Arsenal's been 20.
No. Go on, Dizzy. Go on, bro. Sorry.
I was gonna say, fam, if we were filing for bankruptcy at this point, it'll be written off the records. We've been broke for so long, fam. This is where United are at right now, fam.
And have you guys seen the Disney Robin Hood with the fox? And he's in that scene with with the glasses.
How are you doing this? Arsenal 20 years. Liverpool 30+ years. They're listening to you guys complain and be like, 10 years, that's a drop in a bucket.
Do you know
I had to deal with 34 years. You guys had the banner up in your stadium.
You didn't do a 34 years.
I did deal with it. Stop it.
You were a City fan back then.
Nah, he did. He was 50 years old.
I want to say this: that what Man United are, you hear about all those. Like the lords of this country, like they're kind of loosely related to the royal family. They live in those big mansion houses. They've got like all this land and whatever else, but they're cash poor. That reminds me of what Man United are. We're sort of Man United by name only, right? But when it comes to the act, is there anything tangible about our club anymore? No. And I think Roy Keane said this, so I'm going to plagiarize it. That the only world-class thing about Man United right now is our history. That's it. It's the only. Like honestly, we saw Paddy Kieran and all those old men come on the pitch to pay tribute to Brian Kidd and the like, coming on to pay tribute to Sir Bobby. They would have played better today at this age. Genuinely. I would, honestly, Beckham's nearly 50. He looks, put your boots on. Beckham would do a better job than Anthony in his team now at 50. He would. It'd be your fault, but it'd be better than Anthony. It's crazy where we are right now. A couple of Supercvhats came in here. First one says, no, I said it wasn't a pen because it wasn't. I hate United just as much as City. I couldn't care less. It wasn't supporting either, but consistency wasn't applied. Just saying, can't expect to be better if he keeps the subpar players on that old managers were stuck with. He has variety, but chooses not to use it. Oh, I hear you with that, and that's why I'm criticizing him. Some of his decisions are weird. Like, I know Scotty Mac scored that brace, but why is he suddenly playing him? He weren't part of your plans. Like 3 games running, that's the bit that's blowing my mind. It weren't part of your plans for any reason. Listen, everyone who's tuned in today, I want to say a big thank you to all of you. Please hit the like. I know YouTube's had a mare today. I know a lot of you use your VPN and switched it to Canada because it's working there. But YouTube UK has been down the whole stream. We were flying and loads of you watching, and then it all went crazy. None of the analytics are working. Thankfully, the comments were still coming through. But yeah, YouTube's down for live streaming in the UK. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in and staying with us. Please hit the like button before you go. Make sure you're subscribing. Oh, I'm not looking forward to the top 6 show tomorrow. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you.